you got to do Epstein updates every minute, every hour, every day. And we do it on Midas Touch. We just did it on Legal AF, the Saturday edition with Ben and me. The secret meeting, not so secret. Who's the leaker there? What was discussed at the meeting? Why were FBI agents fired soon after that particular meeting? Why was a new lawsuit filed in order to get the Epstein Files? And what's happening with that? Why was Ghislaine Maxwell really transferred to not a minimum security prison, a low security prison where she could just hop over the wall and go hang out in a college town nearby? Why did all that happen? What is the unholy bargain that we are watching in real time and we're calling out on Legal AF and the Epstein case all about? Sometimes it's the crime and the cover-up, and we cover it all on Legal AF on the podcast. And here's a clip.
You just take something as simple as the Epstein files. I mean, whether you say it's simple or not, it's simple in the sense of people want the files released. Release the files, turn them over. For Donald Trump, that turned into, oh, I'm going to release Ghislaine Maxwell. People are like, what do you mean? That's not what we want. And we said, release the files. No. I'm going to give Ghislaine Maxwell immunity. I'm going to move her from Tallahassee into this minimum security facility called Camp Ryan in Texas. We're going to give her all of these perks. We're going to make sure that she's treated great. We're going to portray her as a hero in all of this. And we're going to also then stop really the Congress from being able to take her deposition, because we're going to, basically tell Congress to recess, as MAGA Mike Johnson does, the MAGA Republicans recess, and we're going to coordinate something to actually help the sex traffickers and help the pedo ring. And it's like, what are you doing? I did a report earlier this week, Popok, about how the Camp Ryan in Texas, which is where Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to, in minimum security facility. Everybody knows that Trump and Trump's DOJ had to give her a special exemption in order to go there. They don't allow sex traffickers at this facility. Salty just showed an image of just what it looks like. You'll see picnic benches. There's no guards. And Bryan, Texas is right in the Texas A&M area. It's a college town. So if anyone lives near college town or visited college towns, because it's a minimum security facility with women who are supposed to be there for a short period of time, they have all these restorative justice programs, which are good for the community and good for Texas A&M until you inject a sex trafficker into the community. So Texas A&M has a puppy program where they work with the women in the restorative justice program who are incarcerated for a short period of time. They raise the dogs together. They train service dogs together. There's a program where the Texas A&M students who want to go into get education degrees, the women from the prison walk over, they get taught. There's a lot of programs of working with the female prisoners in a restorative justice way. Well, now we know Ghislaine Maxwell, whose MO was going into Mar-a-Lago or places, finding underage girls or young women, and then sex trafficking them. Now we have Ghislaine Maxwell injected into the Texas A&M community.
She's working.
She's there, And then 2 weeks before that, you had Lawrence Taylor, who was convicted of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl. He was appointed to be Donald Trump's head of the children fitness program. So you have, someone who sexually assaulted an underage girl now is going to be administering fitness tests to underage girls. So that's Donald Trump's decision-making tree. And you take a listen to what the survivors of Epstein are saying, like Annie Farmer. She's like, I wanted to meet with Todd Blanche. I wanted to meet with the DOJ. They didn't want to meet with me. They're not responding. The DOJ is responding to the traffickers, the sex traffickers, and not to the survivors, when the whole purpose of the DOJ is to help victims. This is what Annie Farmer said, Popa. Let's play it.
Yeah. Well, and when you ask those questions, does anyone answer? What kind of response do you get?
So far, there hasn't been a lot of official response, to our queries. Even in this, I reached out to the prosecutors who, who got the guilty verdict for Maxwell, saying, what's going on? And, they knew so little because they have not been involved in this process. So I wrote a letter to Deputy Attorney General Blanche saying, these are my concerns about what's happening. And there has not been a response. So, I know, speaking with other survivors in this case, that even though so many politicians are talking about this, I don't think anyone has actually been contacted
So
by
you reached
anyone.
out to the Deputy Attorney General, and you haven't heard back?
Yes.
Wow. Jennifer.
She'll never hear back.
And that she'll never hear back. And that, again, upends the very nature. Like, let's keep it simple, stupid, right? That upends the very nature of the DOJ. Popok, you'll talk about it. The secret meeting they have, not so secret, at the White House, which they denied they're going to have, to help the sex traffickers. I mean, that's happening in the United States, helping sex traffickers in plain view and normalizing sexually assaulting 16-year-olds with Lawrence, and other things.
I just read that the only reason Donald Trump is hesitating pardoning P. Diddy, still could happen, is not because of what P. Diddy was accused of, but because P. Diddy came out apparently against Donald Trump politically during a campaign, and so that's making it hard for Donald Trump to make the consideration. I mean, wait till you see. If you think what's happening now is bad, there's just Donald Trump just has a thing for people who have been accused or indicted or convicted of sex trafficking or sex crimes. But what else? What would we expect, Ben? We have an adjudged sex abuser from New York in the E. Jean Carroll case, in which dozens of other women have also come forward, some of which have testified under oath, besides these survivors that we just pointed to for the Epstein matter, against Donald Trump in multiple trials under oath. No one was prosecuted for perjury because everybody told the truth about Donald Trump. That's the administration that you and I describe on an hourly basis on Midas Touch and Legal AF is the administration that we knew was going to happen when you send a criminal, a judge, sex abuser, misogynist, narcissist back to the White House for his triumphant return. This is nothing about what's happening surprises me. Now, I will say one thing about community and about what we do here on Legal AF and on Midas Touch. And I've been using this phrase lately. We shall overcome the Trump administration. We will do it together. That's why we cover the 450 cases that have been filed against him, the couple of hundred injunctions that have been filed against him, and things are working. I know people get beleaguered about the Supreme Court report when we get there about, we're winning 90% at the trial level, but we're losing 90% at the Supreme Court level. But right, not every case gets to the Supreme Court. Not every case gets appealed, and we'll talk about that with birthright citizenship, to the Supreme Court. And there are things that we can influence Donald Trump and make him stop doing because of the onslaught of lawsuits, especially, as you did a great report about Jeanine Pirro, especially when they don't have enough talented personnel in the Department of Justice to fight off the democracy forwards, the ACLUs, the attorneys general, who are all loaded for bear to come at this administration. They are getting whipsawed, and that's a good thing, the Trump administration, and getting stretched by all of these lawsuits. And we're only 7 months in. And so good things will happen. When you get an exhausted DOJ, an mentally exhausted Trump, good things happen. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we do a podcast we've been calling Legal AF for the last 5 years. We don't blow smoke or sunshine. We sit at the intersection of what we used to call law and politics, but really it's just the defense of our democracy. And we do it with you. You can watch the video version, both when we live record it and pick it up on the Midas Touch playlist under podcast for Legal AF, or come over to the audio version, pick up the audio version. We need more audio downloads, more comments, more commentary, more 5-star reviews. That's why we're already top 50 in the audio world of news podcasts. We're top 20 in all podcasts on YouTube. That's all because of you, but we need your help, and that's why we do these clips. We do a full-length version of that podcast twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So until my next Legal AF podcast or anything related to Legal AF here or on the Legal AF YouTube channel, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.